What's up, everybody? I just finished another book in the Point Horror series. This is Funhouse by Diane Ho. I've never read a book by Diane Ho in my life. I do recall a long time ago when I was a kid, I was on a school bus. I had one of the Nightmare Hall books, and it was called The Dummy. And I was, kind of obsessed with Slappy from the Goosebumps series at the time, so I decided to try to read it. And I remember thinking it didn't really grab my attention, so just never really touched them again. There's a bunch of these point horror books I've never read. I don't think I've ever read anything by what is her name, like A. Bates or something. I know she's a popular one. But Diane Ho, I learned recently that she ended up passing away earlier this year. So really wanted to try at least one of her books out. And I got around to reading this. I wanted to read it for Halloween. It's not a Halloween book, but it has a witch and a clown, a skeleton pirate thing. And I usually do like carnival books and stuff like that too for Halloween. So really wanted to try one out. And or at least this year I started doing the whole carnival thing. So yeah, I decided to try this out. And I thought it was actually pretty good. This wasn't a terrible book at all. I do have some nitpicks. And yeah, I know this is a lot of people's favorites. I saw on Goodreads that this thing got like a ton of 5 stars. And yeah, so I did take me some notes. So if you see me look down and try to read some of my handwriting, again, my handwriting is not perfect, so I might have to struggle a little bit because a lot of stuff happens in this book, and there are a ton of characters. I didn't write all the characters down, so we're going to try to get through this without it, but I'll give you the quick rundown. So the story itself starts off with this group of friends, and there's like 5 or 6 or 7 of these kids, and I'm going to try to name them all. There is Tess, there's Beak, Guy Joe, there is Sam, Trudy, and there's one more with a really different name. Doss. Yeah, Doss. I think his real name is Donald. I think some of these are nicknames. I know that Beak is like short for his last name is Beecham, Beechum, but everybody calls him Beak. I can't remember why, but yeah, that's one of the negatives I had with this book. There are a ton of names in this book that were just hard to keep up with. But yeah, they're at this funhouse thing. It's like the main attraction in this little small town. And there's this roller coaster there called the Devil's Elbow. And the Devil's Elbow all of a sudden just goes off the rails and it ends up killing some people. Um, there is this guy that runs track. He gets his leg crushed. There's this girl that's really, good with her looks. She gets her face mangled up. It's pretty dark. And Tess ends up seeing this like shadowy figure take off and running the other way. And she tries to tell her friends, but they think that it's just probably somebody in panic just leaves. So she's not 100% sure if it's anything serious. So after this, we actually cut to a chapter taking place from the villain's point of view, and this villain is talking about like how he wants to get revenge on everybody, how this person found this diary inside of this attic that reveals a bunch of things that he learned. And yeah, we don't learn everything right off the bat on the first chapter, but throughout the book breaks up into different chapters from this villain's point of view, and he talks about why all of this stuff is happening, why he wants to get back at Tess, why he wants to get back at this group of people, and yeah. So after this, Tess ends up getting a letter that's on her floor, and it's basically this poem written in a purple marker saying that this person wants revenge for what's been happening. And yeah, after that, they end up going to the funhouse again, this time because the parents want them to prove that this funhouse isn't as dangerous as everybody says, which is ridiculous. But they end up going, and Tess forgets her car keys, so she leaves and realizes her car keys is gone. So her friend Gina says, oh, that's another friend too. Gina says, I'll go in and try to get your keys. She goes in, they hear a scream. Tess follows behind, sees her on the ground, and there's these like saucer things that move back and forth. And she ends up falling in a hole that the saucer was just there. Now it's not. So she says, oh, well, Gina fell through. She doesn't know exactly how, but one of the saucers is missing. They go back, they pick her up, and the saucer is put back in place. So evidently somebody is doing this and, doing it really fast without them knowing. So yeah. Again, I'm looking at my notes here. There is oh, they go back, and that I think it's that night. Tess goes home and she sees this uh hanging cat from a chandelier, and she screams. Her friend comes in there, pulls it off. It turns out it's a stuffed animal, but she thinks that it's got to be somebody close by because she hasn't told a lot of people this. But she ends up taking Gina's cat. Gina gives her a cat for her to kind of look after, to kind of keep her company, because Tess is actually living by herself right now because her mom is divorced from her dad, and her dad is Guy Joe's dad too. That's her brother, and they are living in two separate households. So after this, see the dog. She ends up going to see Gina. She gets a prank call along the way. She ends up leaving from Gina's hospital, and all of four of her tires get slashed. Somebody pushes her in this like empty pool. They save her. What's going on. She doesn't know what happened. Somebody pushed her into this pool, this empty. All this crazy stuff starts happening. It's kind of typical point horror stuff, but again, this book is not a typical point horror book in my opinion. I thought it was a lot better than your typical point horror book. Um, but yeah, there's also a scene. They have a birthday party where they end up going, and all of the kids end up getting sick. And there's like two kids that don't eat a certain thing, and it's like brownies or something. And they all get sick, but the ones that didn't eat it didn't get sick. And they're like, well, where'd the brownies come from? And they say that somebody just left them for Trudy for her birthday. And yeah, and it turns out when they go to the doctor and all that, they had rat poison in it, which is crazy. And I know if I was at this party, I'd be the first person sick because you offer me brownies, I'm gonna put away some brownies. But yeah, that's all of my little notes here. But yeah, Funhouse was a fun one. I really enjoyed this book. The only thing that I could really complain about was the characters. There are so many characters in here. Like, and again, Guy Joe, never heard that name before in my life. I've heard of those names being as two different things, but Guy Joe is one person in here. Beak, which is the nickname, I let that slide. And then Doss, which is another nickname too, but I mean, you don't have to have two nicknames. But whatever. Um, and there's also the dog's name is like Trilby, I think, Trillby, and there's also a like Tully Tully person in the diary things that this guy or girl finds. So it gets a little confusing, and also the motives when it's revealed for why this guy or girl is doing this is kind of flaky. Like I don't see why that would actually cause somebody to do so much things. There is some dark elements in here though. There is mentions of suicide. There's mentions, and there is mentions of this person trying to make someone else do that and all. So yeah, it's very dark, written in a very bleak way. But Funhouse was a fun one. I do look forward to reading more things by Diane Ho. I do have a few more of her books. I don't think I have a ton, but I have to look through it. I know that she wrote The Accident. I'm pretty sure, and I heard that one was pretty decent. I think I remember seeing somebody like that. But yeah, Funhouse. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I'd give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Thought it was a really fun one. Just a little too many characters, a little too much going on at one time for me. Had to take notes on the past 2 reviews I did, because I can't keep up with some of these things. But yeah, Funhouse, 4 out of 5 stars. I think that's it for me, guys. Thank you. Bye bye.